Good morning, chocolate orange cover time. There we go. We have a little pug this time. He's also got a little bell there on his collar as well. So I thought that worked out quite cute. It's done in a double knit yarn. So I have a stony sort of beige colour for the main body, some dark brown for his ears. Might have been better off doing a bit lighter brown for demonstration. So I hope you're going to see that well. And I've chosen a red for the collar, but obviously you can choose whatever colour you want. Now if I can get it off my magnets, I'll pop him down a minute. I have a little bell for his collar, which has been driving my cat mad. I have some little eyes there, just to sort of give him that slightly sort of bug eye look, which they do have. I have some various needles here. I've got one loaded up with red thread, that was to sew on the bell. I've got one loaded up with black thread, which was to sew up the eyes, a little stitch marker there for later, and a 3.5mm crochet hook. So let's move everything out of the way. We don't need that one, we don't need those two for a little while, and we don't need the scissors. So let's have another look at him. He's got little fold back ears, you can see there. Yes, I'm hoping you can see with the yarn being a little bit dark. Obviously we've got a little stitched on nose there, so I have got a little bit of extra. I mean, I'm saying oh, those three colours. I do have a little bit of black thread there, which I actually did his nose with. So let's get going. Let's pop him over there, and we're going to start with this. I can't really, it is a beige brown. It's got sort of slight stony colour. Obviously pugs come in different colours. I think this is sort of quite a traditional coloured pug, so you can do sort of whatever colour suits you, or if you have a pug you can do it to whatever colour your pug is. So here we go, slip knot on the hook, remembering I'm UK terms, so be careful because I'm going to be using a half treble. So if you don't use UK terms, pop on to Google and sort of pop in the conversion charts, and it will tell you what your stitch is there as well. So it's quite an easy way of finding out. So 2 chain into the first chain, 6 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now into each of those 6 I'm going to do 2, giving us 12 ultimately. So here's number 1 of the 6, number 2, so it's 2 double crochets in each one of them, number 3, number 4, five, and our last one, number 6, if it'll go in. There we go. So that has now given us 12 double crochets. I'm now going to just pull this yarn just to tighten up the little hole in the middle there. It can always be tightened at the end if it's not quite right. Let me just unwind this yarn a little bit to make it run a bit better. Right, we're now going to do another increase round, which is going to be exactly the same as the last one. It's 2 double crochets into each of the stitches, giving us 24. So we've got 12 now, so 2 in each of these 12. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, nearly there, 9, 10, that's 2, 11 and 12. So we now have 24 stitches. We're now going to change our stitches from double crochets to half trebles. Now there's going to be one more increase round, and after that it's just going to be straight half treble rounds. So increase round, because I am transitioning from a double crochet to a half treble for this round, I'm going to be doing a slip stitch first to make it a little bit flatter for the transition and more easy for you to see when you go round as well. So 2 chain is going to count as our first half treble. I'm going to then do a half treble, which is yarn round into exactly the same space as that one. You have 3 on the hook. You're going to pull through, or you're not because that dropped. I'll do that again for you. Yarn round into the space. We have 3 on the hook. We're going to pull through all 3, but if you want to do it a 2 and a 1, that's fine. It's sort of half treble. It's half a treble. In our next one we're just going to do 1 half treble. So we have our stitches. This is our combination now. It's going to be 2 in 1, 1, 2 in 1, 1, all the way around. It will give us 36 stitches. So the next one's a 2 in 1. Yeah, so you'll see how I do a 2 and a 1 like that. It's up to you how you do it. Some people, this one's just a single one by the way, some people will just take the 3 and pull through all 3. That doesn't always feel comfortable. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. Now the next one's 2 in 1, or you can go a 2, a 1. Everybody's different. As long as essentially you're just pulling that one yarn, see that wasn't all the way through all 3 stitches, instead of doing a full treble. So you can see that was a 2, so I know my next one's got to be a 1. And then it's a 2. And a 1. Now obviously if I'm going a little bit fast here, please either slow me down in the settings, or because you're doing the same thing all the way around, just pause me, you do your round and then come back to what I'm doing. So that was a 2. That's a 1. This is a 2, and that's a 1. They're all half trebles. That's a 2 and a 1. Almost round, we have a 2 and we have a 1, 2 and a 1. Almost there, we've just got a few more to go. So that's a 2. Pull my yarn out. It should start running a bit. It's because I'd wound it round and it sort of runs all over the place. That was a 2, wasn't it? So now we've got a 1. At least you can see the stitches quite easy with half trebles. And then a 2, a 1, and I'm hoping I've got 2 stitches left, which I have. And then that would be a 2. And you should finish on a 1, not the end of the world if you didn't. Right, so I'm now going to be continuing with just half treble rounds, and there's going to be 8 of those. So if you're wanting to skip forward, you can have 8 rows of double crochets. I'm just double checking what I've just said there, because I did alter this one. I altered it because I wasn't planning on putting this on, and I finished in there and he just looked a bit dull. There was something not quite right, so that's why he's a little bit sort of tall in the body there. So I did add on this from my original pattern, and I don't know whether I've changed that. I'm just having a quick look. Right, we're going to go for 7 rounds from here down to here in half trebles. I could do with marking that off. I've left my pen over there. I'm sure we'll work it out. Right, so 7. I've written 8 because that was before I added on the actual bit. But I'm going to work them in an amigurumi style. They're not traditionally done like that, but it stops seams. I don't like, so for example at the back, if I started, have a line down the work, and I don't like to see that. If you can't really do it with anything but double crochets and half trebles, anything above that, it just doesn't work doing what I'm going to do now. But you can just get away with it with half trebles. So you can see that's where my first half treble was. So it might be worth popping your little stitch marker. I've got my cute little Game Boy one today. So I'm just going to pop it in there, so I know that that is where my half trebles, it's caught on my yarn, half trebles will be starting from. Remember to move those up after a while. So here we go. It looks a bit weird, this. Yarn round for a half treble in the top. Remember those first 3 chain, because it counted as one. There's no need to do any more of them as well either now. So make sure you get both bits. It's not always easy picking it up because we don't want it loose. There we go, I've got it. Through all 3. So you see now you can't really work out where your join is when you get round, so that is why stitch marker is required. So I'm going to do 1 half treble in every single one of those trebles. And I'm just going to go around in a spiral format, like as if I was doing amigurumi. First round feels a little bit weird when you get back to the start position, but after that you just start going round and round without having to worry about it. So let's see, I'm easily pulling through all 3 this time. Sometimes it flows, sometimes it doesn't. So if you want to do it slower, 2 and a 1, however it works for you. Again, at this point, slow me down if you're a beginner and wanting to sort of do it with me. If you know what you're doing, it might be worth just fast forwarding, unless you're wanting to sort of listen to me chatting along here. Because as you know, when I start doing the straight bits, it means I can just chat to you because I don't have to worry about counting any stitches. So off we go. But obviously, if you do slow me down, I do sound a little bit weird. In fact, I sound a little bit drunk when you slow it down. Oh, there we go. So this stitch marker is important now, so I can tell roughly where I started. You see it's curling round a bit. Don't worry about that. It does flatten out. It's just the first couple of rounds sort of look a bit weird. So I'm using my stitch marker rather than my start point, so I am saying I am there. So that is round 1, and as I've not got my pen, I'm using objects that are next to me to count. So that's round 1. Again, don't need to slip stitch, don't need to start and stop. We just carry on round with those half trebles. It will just flow after a couple of rounds really easily. So off we go for round 2. So we're going for 7, aren't we? And then we're going to change stitch, and then we go on to the collar. So off we go. I think this makes a really cute little gift. I mean, if you know somebody who's a dog lover, or if you've got a pug, what a lovely little gift that would be. Make sure the dog doesn't get the chocolate though, that's important. Oh, I nearly knocked the camera there. In fact, I did slightly. I'll try and keep my leg still because I just knocked it. But I thought it'd make a nice little gift. I know it seems a little bit early. Thinking about Christmas and moving forward, considering the situation a lot of the world is in at the moment, but I think it's a good thing to look forward. We are seeing light at the end of the tunnel, most of us, well, we are in this country and a lot of the other countries, so why not? I thought it was too early for Christmas really, but then I noticed some people have been buying my chocolate orange snowman cover. And then somebody wanted the patterns, and I made one for somebody. So yeah, why not? Let's start thinking about it. Also, if it spreads the cost, doesn't it, if you start a little bit earlier? I know I'm one of these that do start early. I've always got a few things stacked up to send away for Father Christmas already. This doesn't have to be Christmas, of course. I think it's a gift any time of the year. I mean, if you wanted to do it for Christmas, it'd look quite cute. I suppose the red works, but perhaps put a little hat on him or something, or a little Christmas bow or something like that if you wanted to make him a Christmassy gift. Nearly there. And this is round 2, remember? Even though I'm chuntering. Right, I'm going to move this stitch marker up now, because with them being half trebles it grows quite fast and you lose track of where you start, and like with any amigurumi, because it's spiral, your position slightly changes, so keep moving that stitch marker up. It is important. Right, what should we use now? We'll use his brown eye as the next marker. That was round 2. We are on round 3. It doesn't take a huge amount of time to do. I think the longest bit is his facial details. Not so much making them, but actually stitching them on, etc. That can take a little bit of time. That's why I've already made one ear and one eye, so you don't have to watch me do that, because obviously they're the same. We're on 13 minutes. We're not bad. I think doing it in half trebles, I know some of my other chocolate oranges covers are done in double crochets, which depending on the decoration that's going on them, I think that is the difference there. Depending on the detail is whether you can get away with half trebles or double crochets. I do like to see my work quite tight. I wouldn't do it in a treble, for example, because I think that looks too loose, unless you're using quite a small hook, I suppose, that would tighten it up. But I think half trebles is a nice sort of in-betweeny size, so it works well. See, we're almost round on our third one already, so that means we're almost halfway. See, so let's curve it out a little bit. You can see the shape come in there. In fact, I'm going to take him off the chocolate orange. This chocolate orange, bless it, is starting to get a bit dinted. I don't know what's happened there. I don't know whether it's got warm and it's dinted in, because it does sometimes get warm in here. So I'm just going to pop him like that. There we are. He's a cutie. I had wondered whether it'd make a cute smart doll hat. Not quite sure yet though. It's a lot of detail on it. It's a little bit chunky. I think maybe a little bit chunky for a smart doll hat, this one. I will pop the pattern on my website. Now, as some of you may already know, let me just count this before I carry on talking. So that's round 3. That's a piece of black yarn. So round 4, here we go. So I can carry on talking then. As I was saying, I will be popping this pattern on my website as well. As some of you may have noticed, it looks a bit weird, I know, but I put them on for a penny if they are linked with a YouTube video, because I felt that, well, although I do have to make the pattern and spend time doing it, I felt if you've already got a video to watch, why would you want to pay out for a pattern? So anything that's linked with YouTube, there's a lot to go on yet, but the ones I have done are down at 1 penny, as weird as that looks. So it's not an error, that is how much they are. I'm hopefully going to be adding other patterns as well to the pages, so please have a nosy. There's not that many on there yet, but there will be a few, and I want to sort of build it up. And there'll be my smart doll patterns, there's going to be Cindy doll patterns, there's going to be obviously things like the chocolate orange variations. There's already 2 on there that are sort of the bigger patterns, and then hopefully, like I say, there'll be lots of smart doll stuff of various different forms. My scissors are in the way now. Round we go, nearly at the end of round number 4, which means we're over halfway. No, that decided I didn't want to do it. Always take the stitch out if it splits and start again, because it really does look a little bit unsightly if you leave it in there. You can see it at the end. Yarn's running a little bit better now. So I am round. What am I going to use to mark this one? I'm going to use my reel of cotton. I've got a very strange set of markers here. That's 4. I really should have brought my pen over. Every time I lay everything out, just excuse me, I'm just going to have a little drink. Dear me, my throat doesn't want to clear. Every time I sort of set everything out, I think, right, I've got scissors, I've got a pen, I've got this. There's always something I miss, isn't there? And it's the pen today. I can actually see the pen from here, but knowing me how clumsy I am, if I reach over for that pen, the camera's likely to go flying, so I'm not going to do that. So we are on round 5, and when we've done 5, I'm going to show it over the orange, because of course you do have to watch your tension. Everybody's tension is going to be slightly different. I think I'm pretty average. I don't think I'm too tight, too loose. I used to be very tight, and every now and again when I'm working on the smaller stuff, it does get a little bit tight, but usually if I'm on this size hook, it stays pretty standard. I've had quite a few people, if like I say, if you go on the website, you'll see the snowman chocolate orange cover, and when I was on Etsy, I had a lot of people buy that, and generally everybody said it was fine. I got some good reviews on it. I had some friends try it out as well, and they had no problem with it. So that's why I'm presuming my tension is pretty average. If you make this and you're finding it is way too big for your orange, well, it shouldn't be way too big, but if it's a little bit too big, reduce your hook size, drop it down to a 3. A 3 will quite comfortably work on double knit, but it will make it tighter. If you are finding it is way too tight, then you can pop up a hook size up to a 4. But do keep trying it on your orange to make sure it is going to fit. I'm nearly round for number 5, and so we'll try it on the orange then. Please pop any comments on as well if you've got any suggestions for chocolate orange covers, because I know I had a lady suggest she wanted me to make a chameleon, which I did, and it's one of my favourites. It's really nice, so it's always nice to hear what other people are looking for, and I'll have a go. Hopefully I'll make something you like, and then you'll be able to reproduce it. Right, now I've got my red thread. That's round 5, and let's straight on the orange. Now remember, it does need a bit of a stretch. That's okay. So you can see it's about right, I would say. So that was 5. We want 2 more, and then we're going to move into some double crochet rounds. So can you see how neat that is? Because I've not had any joins at all. It just makes it so much nicer. I really don't like slip stitch joins and then carry on, because I think no matter how neat you are, you'll get a line. And I mean, I know most people I've spoke to who do crochet have said the same. So I will avoid lines wherever possible. That's why I'm very fond of the amigurumi style, because you don't get that. So we're on round 5 now. He's looking good. We know he fits the orange. I definitely want to do some more chocolate orange colours, especially coming up to Christmas. Like I say, I've got a snowman and a Christmas pudding on the site, which are patterns to buy at the moment. They've got a bit more detail on them than the ones I do on YouTube. So I need to have a think. We need some Christmassy themes, don't we? Or just gifty themes, or animal themes, or anything. So if any of you have got any ideas, just pop me a message on and I'll pop them on the list, so to speak. The list is a little bit long at the moment, but eventually, I'm trying to sort of time it though. There'll be maybe once a month from now on. There's going to be a definite Christmas item, up to maybe Halloween, and then after Halloween season, because I know a lot of people like their spooky things. After then, we'll do a little bit more on Christmas for the dolls and for general crochet. Just thinking, when I mentioned the word Halloween, I could do a little bat, couldn't I? That'd be cute. Be a very fat little bat, but it'd be very cute. And you wouldn't need much detail on that, it's easy. Right, that was round 6. I'll use my scissors for 6. We've only got one more half treble round, so I don't really need to count, do I? So off we go, half treble round. After this round, I do need to move the stitch marker though, because we're going to be moving on to double crochets. If you're still with me, I hope you're all being safe and well out there. If you're not with me, I still hope you're doing safe and well. But obviously I know some of you will have fast forwarded while I do the half treble rounds. It's quicker when you go through all 3. Can you see how I do it when it's like that? It works much quicker, but it's not worth not being able to do them if you do it slow like that. It's whatever suits you. You may have a different method altogether. Watch that stitch. Make sure we're picking up both parts of the top, meaning both parts as in that side and that side of the chain. Because that's what it looks like, a little plait, not a chain. It's like a little plait, isn't it, along the top. The end is in sight. I can see the stitch marker coming round. But I do need to move it up, because obviously double crochets are a smaller stitch and they're harder to see. You can sort of get away with these. As you get used to them, you do get used to where the start point is. Right, let's move it up. So that is 7 straight rows. There was the increased row, but then it was 7 straight rows. So let's move this up right up to there. Ready to start. And we are going to do a double crochet round. And then we're going to see how it fits on him to decide whether that's where the actual collar is going to start. So just a double crochet now. Is sometimes you might have a tendency to slip into the half treble after doing so many half trebles, but we're double crochets now. So double crochets are only through the 2. You should only have 2 loops on there. If you're unsure on any of these stitches, pop back to some of my basic videos that I did at the beginning of I'm pretty sure I've got half treble. I'm sure I've got half treble. I know I've got a double crochet one. Oh, next door was banging then. I hope we haven't got another argument coming. I think that door slam shook the house. Almost there. And then we will have another little try, because that collar I did on the original one is actually only 2 layers of colour. And I can't make up my mind whether it should be 2 or whether it should be 3. I think 3 might be a bit thick. But like I say, it was a very much last minute add-on. So let's see where we're sitting now. Doing this in double crochets now also tightens it in a little bit without you having to think about shaping. Yep, I think we're ready to do the collar. So I'm going to change colour now. Again, whatever colour you fancy doing. So let's snip that off first. And we will bring in the red. Now, because that was the last one on there, now you might join differently. This is just my choice of join. I actually finished this one off completely and started again, which I might do because I think it looks neater. It's a bit of an odd way of doing it, I know. In fact, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to just do a slip stitch join there, and then I'm going to pull that through. Yeah, you can change what colour however you want to change your colour. Right, my daughter trying to phone me again. I did warn her though that I was doing a video, so she'll know if I ignore her. Let's just shove all that in there, out of the way, and let's just find one of the spaces, and off we go. Double crochet time. Try not to get that yarn mixed up there. Okay, off we go. I thought the red was a really nice contrast. It also reminds me of a TV show that my grandchildren watch called Puppy Dogs. Puppy Dog Pals, I think it's called. It's a Disney one. It's on Disney Junior. And there's these 2 little pugs called Bingo and Rolly. And the kids absolutely love it. So this is very much like one of them. But I don't know whether it's Bingo or whether it's Rolly. If you know whether it's Bingo or Rolly, please let me know. I know we've got some neighbours with 2 dogs the same colours. And Lily goes mad when she sees them, because as far as she's concerned, it's Bingo and Rolly. They go on these mad adventures with this cat as well. So this is just 1 double crochet into every double crochet. So again, if you think I'm going a bit fast, just pause me, or just do your round and then come back to what I'm doing. You almost don't need the stitch marker because you can see where it starts. Almost round, round and round and round. Obviously where we first started it's a little bit hard to see. I think it's in that. And then in the top of the first one, which I do need to fasten off because it's a bit loose at the moment, but I will try and wait until I get round again. And off we go. This is round 2. And then we will have a look, see. You can help me make the decision on whether it's going to be 3 rounds or whether the 2 is adequate. I don't know how the red's showing on here. Red is a really funny colour. It can really glare. I know when you have to do photos, I mean, it wasn't too bad because he's got the other contrasts on the for the photo, but taking photos of things that are solid red can sometimes be a nightmare, especially if it's a red that's got that little slight orange hue to it. The dark reds aren't so bad, but this is what I call a proper red, pillar box red perhaps. Although again, that's okay saying that in the UK. Your pillar boxes may not be that red. What time are we on? 28 minutes, not bad. Now we've still got his details to do mine. I reckon if you were comfortable with the pattern, you'd had a go, maybe you're doing it second time, or if you're comfortable with the actual stitches, you could do this out in an hour. Right, let's have a look. Now that is 3 rounds. So let's have a look how it sits. No, that's 2 rounds. What am I about? It's 3 rounds. I'm trying to decide whether it's going to be 3 rounds. I think it does. I think we're going to do 3 rounds. Again, depends on if it's on your orange. So keep trying it on your orange. If you feel you need another round or even another 2 rounds, if your tension's been quite tight, please by all means just add it on to fit. It's always important to keep fitting it on what you're going to be using it for. So this is our final round, well, my final round, possibly your final round. And then we are ready to start with the details. The other bits don't take long. Yeah, I think this is looking better. It's sort of giving him a chunkier collar, isn't it? So they're quite stocky little dogs. Quite often you do see that they've got quite a broad collar, because they are strong little dogs as well. Let me know if you've got a pug as well. See, that needs tight. Can you see how that goes loose there? So as soon as you tighten it and thread it in, it'll be fine. We have both a dog and a cat. The dog is a collie cross. She was a rescue cat. She was a rescue dog even. And Pippi, which is the pussycat, she was a rescue cat as well. Right, my last stitch I'm going to do is just a slip stitch. And I'm going to tighten that up. I'm not going to sew the ends in at the moment because it's time that you don't really want to see me doing that. Right, let's pop my stitch marker in there. All I'm actually going to do is tuck all the ends in. They do need sewing in thoroughly, so make sure you do sew them in. And it's easier to sew them in and get them out of the way now rather than when you're doing the rest of it. So yes, I think that works. I think that was needed because that sits quite flat now with the orange. So I'm quite pleased with that, and it fits better on the top than the other one slightly. So we don't need red anymore. We don't need beige. We need dark chocolate brown. I'm not sure how this is going to show when I am doing the video. We will see. I think, shall we start with the ears first? Now, as I said, I've already made one ear. It's basically a triangle you're making. Well, sort of double-sided because we're going to do it amigurumi style, and then you fold over the top. So quickly, here we go. We start with our slip knot. We start with our 2 chain exactly like we started with that, and we're going to start by doing 6 double crochets into the first chain. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Tighten it up. We are now going to do an increase, but it's going to be a smaller increase than you did previously. Let me double check where I am. We're going to do 2 double crochets in one and then 1 double crochet in the next one, and we're going to do that 3 times to give us 9 stitches. So 2 in the first one, 1 and 2, 1 in the second one, 2 in the third, stitches split there, 2 in the third, 1 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, and 1 in the sixth. That now gives us 9 stitches. We're now going to do just 1 double crochet into each of those 9, so just 9 stitches. So 1, 2, I know it's a little bit difficult to see, isn't it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. I'm going to push it to the right side to make it a bit easier to hold, and then just tighten that up again. Right, now we're going to have another increase. It's going to be roughly the same as before. You're going to do 2 in the first one, but then 1 in each of the next 2 times 3. So we have 2, we have 1, we have 1, another set, we have 2, we have a 1, we have a 1, last set, we have a 2, we have a 1, and we have a 1. So that gives us 12 stitches. We're now going to do just 3 rounds of just those 12 stitches, and then we'll have a look at the fit. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that one didn't like going through. I think I must have split it a bit. 5. It's not visible though. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. That's our first round. So we've got 2 more rounds of 12. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So that was our second round. 1 more round and we'll have a little look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Splitting again. That was 4. I'll do it again. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. This yarn's not a style craft and you can tell it is a little bit tougher to actually, so I'm just sort of stretching it now, just sort of stretching it down because we're going to fold it about there. So if we look at our other ear, yeah, it's about there. So I'm going to just finish off there. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch as my last stitch, which I have a tendency to do. It's not compulsory. I'm going to keep this quite long because this is for sewing in, or sewing up should I say. So we're going to attach the ear. So I need that quite long. But I'm going to bring my needle in now because this middle one here, I'm going to thread it up and I'm going to push it through the top. Yeah, and then pull it a bit so you can stretch that V a little bit more. I want that at the side, and then I'm going to fold the ear down, and then I'm just going to push through. So I'm not pushing all the way through, it's just part way, just from the front, and fasten back through, back through. You see we get a little fold. The ear part's still open, but I've got a little fold for the ear there. Now on the inside, I'm just going to make a little knot because you're not going to see that, but you do need to make sure it's not going to suddenly flick up. Little knot, cut it a little bit shorter and just push the end into there. So we have a little ear. So the ear's going to be going on there. Yep. So ear done. Move that to one side. We now need a little nose, or a little muzzle. It's more of his muzzle, isn't it? It's not his nose. His nose is the little bit that we're going to add on afterwards. Again, amigurumi style, we're starting with our slip knot and our 2 chain. And we're going to do 6 double crochets into the centre. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Obviously we need to increase his nose. His muzzle needs to be a little bit bigger. It's quite a muzzle, it's not a nose. I'm going to do 2 double crochets into each of those 6 to give us 12. So we have 1, 2 in each, remember, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we now have 12 stitches. I'm just going to tighten my center point up a little bit. That's caught. Tighten it up, and we're going to do a 2 in 1 and a 1 in 2, a 1 in 2, a 2 in 1 and a 1 in 1 even. Right, so 2 double crochets in this first stitch, 1 double crochet in the next one. That is your pattern. So it's a 2, that's actually our 3rd stitch, a 1, that's our 4th, a 2, our 1, a 2. Now this should be giving, well, it should be giving us 18 stitches. It should be 6 times you're doing this. A 2 and a 1 again, because I've been talking, I've lost count. Right, I'm going to stop about that because that feels about right. So let's do a quick count, shall we? Harder to count on the dark yarn, I know, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I think I missed one there. I'm going to say that's 18. Right, we are now going to do a double crochet round. 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see it's curving round. 6, even 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Do my yarn a bit. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 2 more, 17 and 18. Right, let's push this to the right side and you can see how you get your shape. Yeah, I'm going to do a slip stitch to finish and snip it off. Now if you want to add the nose now, it might be easier because you know it's going to be where it's going to be approximate, but I prefer to sew it on there just in case I move it a bit and I don't want him to have a sideways nose or something silly. So that's the nose. We need one eye because I've already got one. That's all the eye is. It doesn't take a lot. So let's get going, and then that's the end of the crochet. Then it's just popping him together. So again, 2 chain, and again 6 double crochets into that first chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and we're going to do very similar to what we did with the start of the ears. Oh, ping, whoever that was. Someone's put a picture on Facebook apparently. Right, so we're going to have 2 in our first one, 1 in our second, 2 double crochets in our third, 1 in our fourth, and last time we're going to do this set, a 2 in our fifth, and a 1 in our number 6. And that's split again. There we go. We're just going to do a slip stitch because I like to do slip stitches in the last stitch, and we're going to fasten off. And that's it. There is no more crochet than that. It is just the putting it together, which is easier said than done sometimes. I'm alright saying just, but actually attaching sometimes can be harder than you think. Right, so decide which is your front and the back. You can see very much where you did your original join. You see, that's how you get a join, but then you don't get any, so it's much better that way. But I know that's the back anyway. I'm going to decide roughly where my ears are going to go. I think they come to one side a little bit, doggy ears. So if we have one there and one there, I think that looks quite good. So let's get a needle on there. I'm probably only going to do 1/2 for you, so because you don't need to see me do both because it's exactly the same on both sides. Now you can see I have my 2 sides here to stitch on, so I'm going to hold it there. I'm going to take the top part, you see they've got the 2. I'm going to take the top part and I'm going to find a place to get it started. There, I think. As soon as you've got it anchored, it's not so bad. And this is going to be hard to see because of the darkness. I know all I can say is I'm taking the top part of the stitch and then a little piece into the actual body of it. I've left it on the orange because it's easier to position. Okay, and we're going to carry on all the way around with this. Can you see I've caught a little bit there? I think that's because that's too thin. So I'm going to just take that out. I don't like to see little bits of other colours coming onto my crochet. If you really desperately don't want to stitch on, you could glue them on, but I don't know whether it works the same personally. But I know there's a lot of people do not like stitching. It's not my favourite bit, but I do think it's what brings your work alive. So I'm now going to be going around the top bit And I'm going to work down the back in the same way, picking up that top bit of stitch, a decent piece of the body. What's my phone flashing up now? It is a bit distracting when it does that because I am filming on my mobile phone, so things just suddenly pop up. We're almost there, around with one ear. Got a couple of little bits. Can you see the little bits there? They're really bugging me. Because they are so small, I can get away with doing that. You shouldn't really, but you can get away with it as long as you try and keep it nice and neat. Right. And there's a little bit there that's bugging me as well. It's either that or you can just sort of push it in. It's just where a bit of the yarn is decided it's not playing. There we go. Push that one in, which really I should have done with the other one. And I'm round. I'm going to do a little knot. And then I'm just going to push the yarn through the ear and through just to make sure it's nice and secure. And we can get rid of that bit. So that's an ear sewn on. That's not so bad, is it? The ear is quite easy. It makes a massive difference when you pop the other one on. I know it looks a bit lopsided at the moment, but you can see that's a dog like that now. So I go for the nose first because it needs to be positioned before you can put the eyes, because I've chose to put the eyes there. You can put them higher if you wish. I just thought it looked quite cute having them sort of side by side of his nose, because to be honest they are near enough like that. I'm just tucking those little bits in there because it will work as a little bit of padding. Let's hope I've left enough on there. Always make sure you leave a long strand if it's something you're going to be sewing onto something else. It's better it's too long than too short, because otherwise you've got to add on pieces. So we're going for about there. So that's going to be where I'm going to start, at the bottom. So it's anchored in. Now I slightly, when I'm doing this, I'm picking up the top. I've got to stop pulling it towards my body because that's where I would normally stitch. I'm going I'm not going here where it's obvious. I'm going slightly underneath it. Makes it a bit neater. So I pick up the top bit, slightly underneath, top bit. And you see it sort of pushes it out by doing that slightly underneath bit. So picking up the top bit, slightly underneath, keep checking it's sitting where you want it to, because it can have a tendency to shuffle about while you're trying to do it. I think this is working out all right. We're about halfway now, and you can see we've got a little bit of paddedness to his nose, so I think that looks better because it makes it stick out a little bit more like a dog's would. I know they have got quite flat faces, but the nose does stick out still very slightly. As you get used to it, you'll find you go a little bit faster. Doing it again, look, I'm pulling it to my body. In fact, let me angle the camera a little bit closer to me. Not too close. I don't want it too close. I don't want to be on the camera. Right, I'm round. Right, apart from the fact that's come off my needle now, I'm pleased with that. I need to thread it back up because I need a little knot. Can't just leave it like that because otherwise it will come apart. So here we go, little knot. And because we've got the nose where, we can just thread it through the nose there and back. If you want to add a bit more stuffing in there, you can do, but I think that's all right. And fasten off. So we have our little nose. He needs, I keep saying it's a nose, his muzzle. So I'm going to just use a little bit of black thread. Well, it's actually wool. It's the same brand as the others. Just a double knit yarn. Going to make a nice little solid knot. Now I'm going to have to take it out for this. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to push it through wherever you want your nose to be. I find it's best to push through a stitch, not go into the gap, because otherwise your knot comes straight through. Now, because I've got all the other bits in, it's got a bit tangled there, but just for demonstration, good reason for sewing the ends in. I can come back and redo this. So all I did, it was just 3 little over stitches. So that's 2. You see it just thickens up. And 3, I'm going to push it all the way through to the back, which I'm not going to knot now. I would then just do a knot on the inside, trim it off, and it's finished. But because I've got all those other ends in there, they're just going to get in the way, so I need to redo that. So we need, it was more like a teddy bear at the moment, we need an eye. I'm going to use this one because I've already sewn in the middle piece and just kept the outer piece for actual sewing in. So thread in. I want it quite close, so I'm actually going to pick up that part of the brown, so I know it's going to sit right next to the nose. Again, decide where you want to position it. This is my choice, and again I'm picking the top bit of the stitch, pulls it round a bit, if I use it flat it might be easier. Picking up a little bit of the body, round and round we go. Now the only other detail he needs on here now is the beads for his eyes and a little bell. You don't have to do a bell, a little bow would look quite cute, or if you've got some other little charm. I know you can get little sort of, I know I've got some somewhere, I don't know where they are, handmade by type little metal plaques I've got. That would look quite nice hanging from his collar, so it looks like a little name tag. But then if it's a gift, you're saying that you've specially made that, so that's even better. You can put a bow on top of its head if you want. A lot of people do that with their dogs. Right, that's just little knot time. Should have left that thread a bit longer. Because the nose is there, why not? We'll just thread it through the nose a couple of times. I'm just going to have to call it a nose, aren't I? Because I'm not going to change it. Right, we have an eye. So as you can see, I've got it quite close to the body. It doesn't really look much until you get the bead on. So I think we need to get that bead on so I can show you what the eye looks like. At the moment, it just looks like a brown blob, doesn't it? So I have to say, I've got a couple of needles here threaded up. One with red and one with black. I got them ready. So going in from the back and picking up our bead. You would go through that again, because I've got all these tangled in here. You would do that a couple of times to make sure it's nice and secure, but make sure the hole isn't at the top. Just shuffle it around like that, and just by sewing on that little bead, all of a sudden the eye is quite different. So it is quite a good one to do. I'm gonna have so many bits shoved inside because I don't want to fasten them off. Right, they're fastened off. And where's my little bell? These bells are quite cute. They're really sort of quite cheap that you can get hold of. I got them for a Christmas project for a reindeer hat for the smart doll that I did. Approximate centre. Make sure the knot's big enough it's not going to come through. And just gently stitch it on. Just going through a few times. Make sure it's nice and secure. Making sure, watch this, that it doesn't cut the cotton. Sometimes when it's got like a sharp edge like that, you take your needle through, and if you pull it sort of too tight where the bell is or the item is, it will actually cut your cotton. I've had that with some buttons, which is most frustrating. But apart from that, we have a little jingly bell there. So I'm going to leave that one there because I've got to sew all these ends in, and you don't want to see me doing that. So I'm just going to pop him to one side, and we will pull our star of the show back. Here he is, either our bingo or our roly. I like the orange at the bottom because then people can see what it is if it's a gift. Otherwise they wonder what on earth you're giving them. So let's pull it over. It needs to be a little bit tight. And there we have our little chocolate orange pug cover. I think that's quite cute. I think it'd make a lovely gift, especially if the owner is either really into dogs or actually has a pug. That would be even better. So thank you for watching today. Today, I can't even speak. Today, please like, subscribe and share if you've enjoyed doing this. And there will be more to come. And please pop onto the website and see whether you can see anything on there you want. There are more patterns to follow. There's not that many on at the moment, but please keep an eye out and see if there's anything that you fancy on there as well. So thank you for watching. See you very soon. Bye.